At the end of this week, we are kicking off a narrative performance task. So you are writing a super short narrative or story in class. So what I want to do today is I want to play with 4 of the narrative tools that you have in your toolbox. Short paragraphs, dialogue, imagery and descriptive writing, and figurative language. So I want to look at these 4 tools in the novel that I'm currently reading. It's Pride, and Pride is one of the Project Lit books. And let me just quickly book talk Pride for you. So Pride is supposed to be the remix of Pride and Prejudice. So Pride and Prejudice is this very old British novel, and Pride is supposed to be this new hot remix of it. So the main character is her and her family. They're a black family. They live in a historically black neighborhood, and that neighborhood is quickly changing. So white wealthy families are moving into the neighborhood, and there is a family that is moving in across the street. And this wealthy family from Manhattan is moving in across the street. And the main character and her sisters, they expect this family to be a wealthy white family. And instead, it is this wealthy black family. And they have these 2 teenage sons. So this is the moment when the main character and her sisters are meeting these 2 teenage boys for the first time. "I'm Ainsley," the other boy says, giving me a firm shake. "We just moved in, obviously." "Nice to meet you," I reply, using the good manners that Mama has drilled into us. "Totally. I can't wait to explore Bushwick. Your sister has been telling us about it," Ainsley says. He's smiling way too hard. It's the kind of smile that'll get him punched in the face if he bumps into the wrong guys from around the way. But still, he's nice, like a happy puppy in a handmade sweater that the white people in our hood like to walk around, while Darius is a cranky bodega cat. And please ignore my baby brother. He's just grumpy that we had to leave Manhattan. Dude, hey, I'm not grumpy. It's just an adjustment, Darius says, crossing his arms. What a hard adjustment for you, I say, my curiosity about these boys turning off like a switch. I don't appreciate anyone throwing shade at my neighborhood. I give Darius my mean Bushwick mug, but it doesn't seem to register. He just stands there with his upper lip curled as if he's smelling his own stank attitude. So here's this moment. I want to now take a look at these 4 narrative tools in this one moment. So I want to start with short paragraphs. So when you look at a narrative, I want you to notice that the narrative paragraphs are super, super short. So let's look just at this boxed in section. Our paragraphs in this boxed in section are 1 to 2 sentences long. They're super, super short. So when you sit down to write, it's so important that your paragraphs are really short, 2 to 3 to 4 sentences maybe. Every once in a while, you can have 1 or 2 paragraphs that is a little bit longer, but your paragraphs should be very, very short. I also want you to notice here that when you have a new speaker, you need to have a new paragraph. So in this first paragraph, Ainsley is speaking, and he speaks twice. "I'm Ainsley," and then "we just moved in, obviously." So that's 1 paragraph. And then we have a new paragraph when the main character speaks. "Nice to meet you." Dialogue. So there are 2 things I want you to notice about dialogue. The first is punctuating dialogue. When you punctuate dialogue, it's so important that the punctuation goes inside the quotation marks. So here we have our comma, and it goes inside the quotation marks before Ainsley says. And then here at the end, we have a period, and it goes inside the quotation marks. So it's important that you put your punctuation inside the quotation marks. The second thing I want you to notice is I want you to notice how authors blend dialogue and description. So I want to look at this boxed in section quickly. "Totally, I can't wait to explore Bushwick. Your sister has been telling us about it," Ainsley says. He's smiling way too hard. It's the kind of smile that'll get him punched in the face if he bumps into the wrong guys from round the way. But still, he's nice, like a happy puppy in a handmade sweater that the white people in our hood like to walk around, while Darius is his cranky bodega cat. And please, ignore my baby brother. He's just grumpy that we had to leave Manhattan. So we have two sections of dialogue, right? So here we have dialogue, and here we have dialogue. Ainsley is speaking both times. And in between, we have this great descriptive writing, right? The author is really describing this moment for us. And so as I'm reading your narratives, one of the things I want you to play with is blending in some description of what the author is seeing around them as you are writing your dialogue. So between your dialogue, you should see some description or imagery. Imagery or descriptive writing. So when you think about imagery or descriptive writing, I want to see that you are really painting a picture for the reader. So I actually want to, there is some great imagery descriptive writing in the excerpt we've been looking at. But I want to look at another excerpt from Pride because I just thought this is such great imagery or descriptive writing. So this is the narrator describing her mother. Mama brings down a wooden spoon and raises her eyebrows. Her hair is tucked beneath a colorful satin scarf, and her wide gold hoop earrings almost touch her shoulders. She's rocking her signature Brooklyn Loves Haiti t-shirt and pink velour sweatpants, even though it'll be hot as hell in that kitchen. A smidgen of bright red lipstick only covers her bottom lip, and blush on her deep brown cheeks, showing she's making an effort for Poppy. Gosh, I just love how the author here really slows down and paints this rich picture of her mother, right? I can really picture this mom in her velour sweatpants and her Brooklyn Loves Haiti t-shirt with her lipstick, right, covering just her bottom lip, right? This is such a great picture. So as I read your narratives, I need to see these moments where you stop and where you really describe every detail. Really paint a picture for the reader. And then lastly is going to be figurative language. And I want to focus with figurative language just on simile and metaphor. So simile is when we compare two things using like or as, and metaphor is when we compare two things without using like or as. So authors use figurative language to really help the reader to imagine the moment, to better paint a picture for us. And so we have a couple similes and metaphors here. We have a simile here. I love this one. She's describing Ainsley, and she says he's like a happy puppy in a handmade sweater that the white people in our hood like to walk around, right? So she's comparing Ainsley to a happy puppy in a handmade sweater that is walked around by silly white people. And then she also compares Darius to a cranky bodega cat. Okay, so the first one, if you notice, when she compares Ainsley to the happy puppy, she uses the word like. So this is a simile. And when she compares Darius to a cranky bodega cat, notice she doesn't use like or as, so that's going to be a metaphor. We also have another simile down below here when she says, my curiosity about these boys turning off like a switch. So she compares how quickly her curiosity about these boys turns off when they throw shade at her neighborhood, to how quickly you flip off a light switch. So she's using simile and metaphor here to really help us to imagine this moment. So your job today is this. You need to practice your narrative tools, and you're going to do that by writing a quick flash draft. So in your flash draft, I need to see short paragraphs. I need to see dialogue. I need to see imagery and descriptive writing and figurative language. So I would encourage you for your prompt to write about a conversation. That can be a conversation that you imagined in a hallway of a middle school. That could be a conversation that you imagine between like a teenager and their parents. That could be a fight that you imagine. That might be a conversation you imagine between two animals. Imagine a fictional conversation. And then what I want you to do is I want you to play with these 4 narrative tools. So as I look at your narrative on Wednesday, at just your flash draft, remember it doesn't have to be a complete story. I really want to see you playing with these super short paragraphs. I want to see lots of dialogue. I want to see imagery and descriptive writing where you've really painted a picture for the reader. And I want to see some simile or metaphor throughout your piece. Okay, have fun. Get started.